4:50, and I finally got to Busch Gardens. I'm parked in the England parking lot, which, if I remember correctly, is actually the closest parking lot to the entrance, which suggests that hopefully the park isn't too crowded. I have about 5 hours until the park closes, so that should be enough time to get through at least most, if not all, of the coasters. So it should be a good day. Alright, so I just got to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, the most beautiful park in the world, or at least was voted that at one time. I don't know if it still holds that title. Yeah, one of the things I like a lot about Busch Gardens is the music. Every country has music themed to that country, which a lot of times is classical music, and I really like classical music. So, yeah, so that's one good thing about the park. They got really great theming. Everything is Europe themed, so the different sections of the park are all themed to different countries or areas of Europe. So right now when you enter the park, you enter into England. There is a London Rock show, a place where you can get some beer. Busch Gardens is named after Anheuser-Busch, the beer company. So one of the nice things is at this park you can actually walk around with your beer. You don't have to go to beer jail, which is nice. Yeah. So I'm gonna walk in this way. Not really sure where I'm heading first, but I will check in a little bit later. Alright, we are now in Scotland. In Scotland, you can ride the Loch Ness Monster, which is a nice little arrow that is unique because it has the interlocking loops. This is actually one of my favorite aero coasters because it's not quite as rough as some of the other ones, and it has a cool dark portion where you're in a tunnel for actually quite a while. You can see Griffin in the background, the B&M dive coaster. There's the entrance to Loch Ness Monster. I'll probably come back and do Loch Ness Monster later. I want to get some other things, make sure I get some other things done. But hopefully I'll make it back. Hopefully I'll have enough time. So far it doesn't look to be super crowded. It doesn't look to be as crowded as it was the last time I was here. Yeah. So hopefully it should be pretty easy to get through. I know King's Dominion was, so maybe today is just a good day for the Virginia parks. It's the Friday before Labor Day. One thing about Busch Gardens is there's actually a lot of stairs and steep hills in the park, just because of where it's built. You have this river that runs through the park, and kind of this cool bridge area. You can actually get really close to the coasters. There's Alpengeist right there, Griffin in the background. Loch Ness Monster. It goes through the interlocking loops. So yeah, I think I'm gonna head towards another area in the park. Hopefully get on something soon. I don't know what they're doing exactly. We're in, I guess, Germany, and they're actually looks like they're doing something to this fountain to prep it for hollow screen. Got these guys up here. Some cool buildings. Over here by Alpengeist, which is in the Switzerland section of the park, which if you pass through this little ski mart here where they sell drinks and stuff, it is next to the Germany section, or at least one of the, there's a Germany section and an Oktoberfest section. But I'm gonna get a ride on Alpengeist, B&M Invert, one of the bigger ones, and yeah, see you when I get off. Right, I just got off of Alpengeist. I rode it twice. Definitely liked it a lot better this time than I did last time I was here. And yeah, I rode it in the front and the back. Both are good. I think I like the front just a little bit better because it really kind of throws you into the top of the inversions. Especially the Cobra roll was actually a lot better in the front. The first drop is obviously better in the back. Yeah, so my thoughts on Alpengeist, you know, it's actually, it's one of the bigger ones. It's one of the better B&M inverts that I've been on. It's very forceful. The first half of the ride is really great and really forceful. You go down this full drop turn into this Immelman. It's a giant Immelman into a giant loop into a giant Cobra roll. But then after that, you turn up into this and just kind of whip into this mid-course brake run that actually hits really hard. And in my opinion, it kind of just kills the second half of the ride. The second half of the ride is taken much more slowly. There's a 0G and a corkscrew, neither of which are very fast. I would say that both the 0G roll and the corkscrew are a little bit better in the front because, again, you get a little bit more speed going into the top of it. But the problem is, then after that, you do a couple slow turns to get back up to the station, and I mean slow turns. And then the ride's over. So to me, it's like the first half of it's really, really great, and the second half of it is still it's okay. It's not bad, but yeah, the ride as a whole is really good. Like I said, I liked it better this time than last time. It is getting a little bit old. It does have a little bit of B&M rattle. I didn't really get any headbanging though, which is good. And just a note about the Cobra roll. I'm not a huge Cobra roll fan. I think typically they're kind of pointless, and normally you bang your head on at least one side, if not both of them, whenever you go through it. And this one is actually pretty good. It's actually a really forceful Cobra roll. And you don't bang your head at all, and it's taken very quickly despite how huge it is. So yeah, Alpengeist, pretty good. One of my favorite B&M inverts. I'm still not really sure exactly where I'd put it against the other ones. Banshee's my favorite one. I really like Raptor as well, which I'll be riding Raptor in a couple days. So I'll have a good comparison for that. And I'll also be riding Afterburn for the first time tomorrow. So I'm interested to see how it stacks up against those. But yeah, so we just passed through the I believe it's called New France, which is like the Canadian themed section of the park. There's the Trapper Smokehouse, I think it's called, which is a big barbecue place. I ate there last time I was here. It's pretty good. Now we're coming into Ireland, which is home of Griffin, which is a 205 foot tall B&M dive coaster. One of two in the country. I really enjoyed this ride last time I rode it. It's the first dive coaster I've ridden. The only dive coaster I've ridden. And I'm going to go check it out again. coming up on Griffin Station. Busch Gardens does a really good job of sort of staging their rides. You always get really good views of all the coasters, with the exception of maybe Apollo's Chariot, but that's because it goes through the woods and it's kind of like a terrain hypercoaster, which is nice. So I really enjoy the staging, the way that the paths wind around the coasters, so that you can really get good views of them, really showcase the rides. Yeah, I'm off to ride Griffin. Looks like it's got a bit of a wait. Alpengeist was actually a walk-on today. So we'll see about how long this takes. It says it's only 15 minutes, so we'll see how that turns out. All right, I just got off of Griffin, and I have to say, I really love this ride. If you've never been on a dive coaster before, they are surprisingly really good, considering in terms of their layout that there's not much to them. I mean, you're looking at a drop, an Immelman, a mid-course brake run, another drop, another Immelman, a little airtime hill, splashdown, a turn, another little airtime hill, and then you're done. But really, it's exciting the whole time. The drops are both really good. You're out of your seat the whole time. The inversions are really good. The ride's really smooth. It actually has a surprising amount of airtime for the layout, how short the layout is. The first time I was here, I rode it in the front, in the middle, and this time I rode it twice. The first time I waited about maybe 10 minutes, maybe even less than that. And the second time it was literally a walk-on, so I went ahead and did it again. This time I rode in the back both times because the front had a really long line and the back had no line at all. The first time I got the very left edge seat, and the second time I was pretty much in the middle of the train, and for sure the outside is definitely a lot better. I don't know if the left or right is better because I've only done the left side, but I mean, it's kind of like a wing coaster where, it's kind of like, it reminded me of Sky Rush, where like coming in and out of bank turns, you get a little pop of airtime because you pop out of your seat as the train moves up or down laterally. And front to back, I mean, I think they're probably about even in terms of the ride experience. In the front, you really hang over that front edge. Like, you're pretty much facing straight down. The back, you don't really hang that far over the edge, but you do get the pop of airtime from the train pulling it down, even though it is a short train. So yeah, I mean, Griffin, really great dive coasters. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm actually excited for the one. We still haven't heard the Cedar Point announcement, but it's kind of a given that, I mean, Dive Coaster Track is arriving there, so we will be getting some kind of a dive machine at Cedar Point. I'm actually really excited for it. I know a lot of people are a little bit upset about that ride in that park for whatever reason, but it can only be good. It can only be at least as good as this ride or SheiKra. I'm sure it'll be better. So Griffin, yeah, one of the dive machines, one of the better B&M designs in my opinion. Despite its shortness and layout, it really is a good ride from start to finish. Right, we're entering Ireland now. I said the area by Griffin is called Ireland, and maybe it is part of Ireland, I'm not really sure. But this is definitely the area that is more officially Ireland. Got some shows over here. Got a little food cart here. This building is themed to a castle. I mean, it looks like a little Irish village. It's pretty cool. There's another show in there. By the way, walking from Griffin to this area, you pass through kind of the animal exhibit area. The Busch Gardens parks have animals in them. I didn't actually get any footage of that because I'm running low on space and battery. here we are in Ireland, and the main reason why I turned on the camera here is because it is time to get some beer at Grogan's Pub. No trip to Busch Gardens is complete without a beer. Alright, it is officially beer 30. I'm drinking a Sam Adams Rebel IPA on draft from the Grogan's Pub. Unfortunately, you know, it being affiliated with Busch, they have pretty standard options in terms of beer. You know, it's typical amusement park pricing. This one was like $9. You know, it is what it is. But I'm taking advantage of the fact that in this park, they do let you carry it around the park with you, so you can enjoy beer while you walk through the park. I just got off of Tempesto. It's a fun ride. It's definitely not a bad ride. It's nothing really super special. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the comfort collars. I don't really think they're very comfortable, so I don't really think it's a very suiting name for them. It's also a little tight getting on and off. And it's a good thing, you know, it's such a low capacity ride, it's such a big park. It's a good thing that they're pretty quick on the operations. Today's a pretty light day. Alpengeist is a walk-on. Griffin was practically a walk-on. And this took me about 15 minutes or so to get on. And for waiting that amount of time, you know, that's fine. I would not personally wait for this ride if it was a 30 to 45 minute wait, or even beyond that. But, you know, that being said, it's still a fun ride. You get a little pop of airtime at the top, the very top of the hill. But yeah, it's Tempesto. That's pretty much it. Alright, I just got off of Apollo's Chariot. For now, I just got one ride. I sat in the front row this time. I rode it one time last time I was here and got in the back row. The front was about a 10-minute wait. The rest of the train was really a walk-on. Unfortunately, I went back down to do it again, to ride in the back. And the ride is temporarily down. I'm not sure what the issue is, but it looked like they weren't able to dispatch the train in the station. There's a train currently in the brake run. So I will definitely come back later and ride, since I still have about 3 hours before this park closes. And I've done almost all the coasters except for Loch Ness Monster, which I've already shared my thoughts on, and Verbolten, which I'm heading to now. Apollo's Chariot was definitely more enjoyable for me this time than last time. I don't know if it had to do with the seat I was sitting in, or if it's just that today's a better day for the ride. Because unfortunately, like I said, I was not able to sit in the back seat yet. Later today, if I do get to sit in the back seat, I will definitely give my thoughts about what I think about the front versus the back. But at this time, I've been on 3 of the B&M Hypers. I've been on Diamondback, Nitro, and Apollo's Chariot. As I said last time, Apollo's Chariot didn't do much for me. This time I actually really enjoyed it. Diamondback is my favorite of the 3. And then I would put Apollo's Chariot after that. And then I would put Nitro at last, because Nitro's really slowed down. It doesn't really do much anymore. But yeah, it's a fun ride. It goes through the terrain. I like the terrain elements of it. It goes through the trees. It's got a couple nice turns. It's got a nice turnaround. And then the return run has a lot of turning hills, turning drops, and turning hills, which is a little bit different than your typical out and back dive or out and back hypercoaster, where you basically just go over a series of small, just straight hills. I actually had airtime for a lot of the ride. You know, it's the B&M floater airtime, so it's not the ejector out of your seat airtime. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the ride in the front seat. If I get a chance to ride in the back seat, I'll definitely make some comments later. It is starting to get later in the day, so it may be dark. So it's starting to get dark fairly soon. For the time being, I'm heading over to Tempesto. The area I'm walking through now is sort of the American themed area coming from Italy, where the other rides were. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get footage of the whole park because I am limited on battery and I am limited on memory. But I will check back in when I get closer to Verbolten. Oddly enough, after you walk through the somewhat American theme section, you come to more Italian kinds of things. I mean, at least I think, Italian wine, yeah. Come into more Italian areas. There's a sort of an outdoor space over here where they do various shows. It's all very well themed. You got a gelato shop. Another thing I was going to say about the B&M Hypers is tomorrow I'll be going on Intimidator at Carowinds for the first time. So it'll be interesting to see how I feel about that ride in comparison to the other three that I mentioned, Diamondback, Nitro, and Apollo's Chariot. Considering how much I like Diamondback, with the Intimidator at Carowinds being from around a similar time with a similar seating arrangement, the staggered seating that I like, it's very likely that I'll enjoy Intimidator. Of course, I'm also going to get to ride Fury 325, but I think it's better suited to compare that to the other Giga coasters that I've been on, which are the two Intamins in the US, with Intimidator 305 and Millennium Force. But either way, that being said, Apollo's Chariot definitely gave me a better ride this time around, and hopefully I will get to go back to it later and see what I think about the back seat again. I'm getting close to Verbolten, the entrance of Verbolten at least. This is the back drop, the drop towards the end of the ride, which is where the old Big Bad Wolf's drop used to be. Unfortunately, I never made it out to ride the Big Bad Wolf. But I do think it's cool that they kind of tried to preserve the same element of that ride by putting the drop and the turn in the same place and making kind of a similar layout, you know, paying homage to the Big Bad Wolf that was there before. I just got off of Verbolten, which is a Zero, I guess you'd call it a family launch coaster, multi-launch coaster, with a dark ride portion in the show building with a special surprise. It's actually, you know, it's a lot of fun. It's a really great ride. Definitely like probably my favorite of all the quote-unquote family coasters that I've been on. A lot of really nice elements on it. You've got a few good launches. You've got the special surprise drop, which if you don't know what it is, I'm just going to leave it at that. And then you've got the drop at the end, and then you have all the stuff in the show building. There's a lot of cool stuff that goes on in there. Here you have the mock tower. There's a lot of cool stuff that goes on in the show building. Definitely, again, one of my favorite dark ride portions of a coaster. They really integrate the show building into the ride really well. I guess the only criticism I'd have of the ride is just the number of mid-course brake runs that it has, and the fact that you pretty much stop on all the brake runs, and I think that that's due to how many trains they run on it. Today it's a pretty light day. It was pretty much a walk-on ride. I think I waited maybe one cycle for it, and they had 3 trains on. But on a busy day, they run 5 trains. So the fact that they run so many trains, they have to have those mid-course brake runs, and so you actually sit on the mid-courses for a while. That's my only criticism of the ride. I mean, I think pretty much the ride from start to finish is pretty solid. All the parts of the ride where you're moving are pretty solid. I definitely want to see more from Zero. I've been on this one, and I've been on Impulse at Knoebels, which is new for this year. And I definitely want to see Zero do a lot more stuff, because I feel like they have potential to make some really awesome rides. I just got off of the Curse of Dark Castle, which is I guess you'd call it a 4D dark ride. And it was pretty cool. It's the first time I've done it before. It was a walk-on. I literally walked into the station and I was the only one in my ride vehicle. But yeah, you know, it's got some cool effects. I like the ride vehicles a lot. I'm not sure who exactly makes it, because unfortunately I haven't done a whole lot of the newer dark rides. You know, I've done, you know, the Disney, Universal, I've done all that stuff, but last time I was at those parks was several years ago, so I haven't gotten a chance to do any of the newer dark rides. But You know, it's mostly screens. I'm guessing maybe it's Chariot, maybe it's Sally. I'm not really sure. I'll definitely check the facts for that. But I enjoyed it. This is the Fest House. This is all in the Oktoberfest section of the park, which is where Verbolten is. And currently, I am trying to make my way back to Apollo's Chariot before it gets dark, and see if I can get a ride in the back seat. Hopefully, it's opened back up after the maintenance issues it was having. And I will share my thoughts with you when I get there. I've had a really great time here at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. It's a Friday before Labor Day, and basically everything's been a walk-on. The longest I've waited for anything has been about 15 minutes, and that's if I was getting in the front seat of a ride, or for Tempesto, which has, you know, lower capacity. But yeah, it's been a great day here at the park, and I'm gonna go see if I can catch another ride on Apollo's Chariot. Check in with you again then. It is now dark here at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Apollo's Chariot was closed for a while, but it opened back up, and I did do it in the back seat, and the back is definitely the better ride. Since it's dark, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off for now. I'm going to do a couple more things and then head out of here and drive to my hotel for the night. I'll share my thoughts on the park a little bit later.